What happens when the person you trust the most becomes the very reason your whole world falls apart? Not a stranger, not an enemy, but someone you welcomed into your home. Someone you believed would protect your family long after you're gone. Ethan Cole never understood how deep betrayal could cut until the night he walked into his mother's hospital room and saw the fear in her eyes. Fear caused not by her illness, but by a document she was too weak to understand. A document quietly slipped into her trembling hands by the lawyer she trusted for nearly 30 years. That moment didn't just shake her. It shattered the truth he thought he knew. And by the time Ethan realized what was happening, she was already gone. And the man she trusted, the man he trusted, had already begun taking everything she ever built. Before the story continues, if you've ever protected someone you loved or wished you had, take a moment to subscribe and tell me in the comments, who would you stand up for? All right, let's get back to the story. Ethan had stepped into the hospital room expecting to see his mother resting in peace, maybe asleep, maybe smiling faintly the way she always did when he walked in. But instead, he found her clutching papers as if they were burning her fingers. Her hand trembled from weakness, but her eyes trembled from something else. Fear, confusion, betrayal. It stopped him cold. "Mom?" His voice softened, worried. "What's wrong? Who gave you those?" She didn't answer at first. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She looked at him like she was ashamed to even speak. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, she whispered, "Ethan, I think I made a mistake." Those words hit him harder than anything the doctors had ever said. He approached slowly, gently, not wanting to overwhelm her. "What mistake? Mom, what happened?" He helped her adjust the blanket, then carefully slid the document out of her weakening grip. Her fingers clung to his for a moment before falling away, like she didn't want to let the truth go. Ethan lowered his eyes to the page. The heading alone made his stomach twist. Transfer of authority and power of estate. His heartbeat quickened. He read the clauses. They were clean, cold, legal, ruthless, stripped of emotion. Every line handed full control of his mother's estate, her home, her charity foundation, her accounts, her medical decisions, to one person. Martin Hale. That name alone made Ethan tense. Martin had been with their family for nearly 3 decades. He had laughed with them, celebrated holidays, held Margaret's hand when she signed her will the first time. He was practically an uncle to Ethan, a man of trust, or so everyone thought. Ethan stared harder at the page, and a chill ran up his spine when he reached the bottom. The signature. It looked like his mother's, but it also didn't. The loops weren't right. The slant was wrong. It looked forced, guided, or worse, mimicked. He lifted the paper, his hand shaking. "Mom, did you sign this? Did Martin bring this to you?" She looked away, shame pooling in her eyes. "He said it was routine, just routine. He told me you were busy. He said not to worry you." "He said what?" Ethan's voice cracked with anger. She blinked painfully slow. "I didn't want to bother you. I didn't want you to stop working." "Mom." He took her hand, squeezing it gently. "I would have been here in seconds. Seconds. Why would he say something like that?" Her lips trembled. "I didn't know what I was signing, Ethan. I was tired. My head wasn't clear. He rushed me. He said I just needed to trust him. I thought I could." Her voice broke. "I was wrong." Ethan swallowed the burn in his throat. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I tried," she whispered. "I called him after. I felt something was wrong. He told me it was fine, that everything was under control." Her voice cracked. He lied. He felt rage bloom inside him, quiet and deadly. Mom, I promise you I won't let him get away with this. She squeezed his fingers weakly. Find the truth, she whispered. Please. Her voice faded. Her breath thinned. And just like that, she slipped into the kind of sleep people don't come back from. Ethan held her hand long after the machines began sounding their cold, unfeeling alarms. He didn't let go when doctors rushed in. He didn't let go when the nurse placed a hand on his shoulder. He didn't let go until her hand grew cold. The world blurred around him. The air felt too heavy to breathe. All he could see was that document beside her pillow. All he could feel was anger simmering beneath his grief. 3 days later, Savannah's sun shone warmly during her funeral, but nothing warmed Ethan's chest. He stood beside her closed casket, listening to soft prayers and quiet sobs from the community she dedicated her life to. She ran charity events, literacy programs, food drives. She was love wrapped in discipline, kindness wrapped in strength. And yet, the man she trusted most had taken advantage of her at her weakest. After the service, as people lined up to hug Ethan, Mrs. Pearson, the director of Margaret's beloved community center, approached with trembling hands and swollen eyes. Ethan, sweetheart, your mother was an angel to us. He nodded, voice low. She adored all of you. I know, she said softly. Then her voice shifted, tight with fear. But I need to show you something. I didn't want to burden you today, but... What is it? Ethan asked, bracing himself. She pulled a folded paper from her handbag and placed it into his hand. He opened it slowly, feeling his chest tighten with every line he read. It was an eviction notice for his mother's community center, dated 2 days before his mother died, and signed by Martin Hale. Ethan's jaw clenched so hard he thought his teeth might crack. He did this while she was dying? Mrs. Pearson nodded, crying. She didn't deserve this. None of us did. Ethan looked toward the horizon, fists trembling with fury. This wasn't grief anymore. This was war, and Martin Hale had just declared it. Ethan didn't waste another second at the gravesite. He didn't need time to think. He didn't need to calm down. He needed answers, needed truth, needed justice. And he needed it now. The moment he left the cemetery, he headed straight to his mother's house. The place she had lived for nearly 40 years, the place filled with the scent of lavender and old books. The place he once believed was safe. But as he inserted the key into the lock, the door refused to budge. He tried again, harder, nothing. He frowned and stepped back. No way. The locks had been changed. His mother had been dead for 3 days, and the locks had already been changed. He knocked sharply, hoping a caretaker or neighbor had done it. Hello? Anyone inside? It's Ethan Cole. Silence. He circled around the porch, checking windows, peering inside through narrow gaps in the blinds. The house was dark except for faint slivers of moonlit reflection off glass frames. He saw her reading chair, saw her painting on the wall, saw the warmth of her world sitting just beyond his reach. And then he saw it, taped to the inside of the window. A notice. He pressed his face closer, eyes widening as he read it. Property access reassigned, approved by power of authority, authorized by Martin Hale, ESQ. His hand tightened against the window frame until his knuckles turned white. That son of a... Before the sentence could even form, a voice interrupted from behind him. Ethan, is that you? He spun around. It was Mrs. Latham, his mother's elderly neighbor. She wrapped her cardigan tighter around herself and stepped down the walkway with cautious steps. Mrs. Latham, Ethan breathed, trying to steady himself. Did Martin come here? Oh, yes, she said, shaking her head with disapproval. He came the morning after your mother passed. Said he needed to secure the property on behalf of the estate. I told him I thought you should be here, but he said you gave permission. I what? Ethan snapped. She flinched slightly, but her voice remained steady. That's what he told me, dear. He said you didn't want to deal with the house yet. But I knew something felt wrong. The way he rushed, the way he kept checking his watch. He didn't look sad. He looked anxious. Ethan felt heat rising in his chest. Martin wasn't securing anything. He was taking control, and doing it fast, too fast. Mrs. Latham, did he say anything else? Anything unusual? She hesitated, glancing toward the house as if afraid someone might hear. Well, he wasn't alone. Ethan froze. You mean he wasn't alone? He brought someone with him, she whispered. A woman. She stayed in the car mostly, but when he finished changing the locks, she got out and handed him some kind of folder. I couldn't see her face well. She wore big sunglasses, even though it was cloudy. Ethan's heartbeat thumped harder. A woman? A partner? Someone helping him move faster? Did you hear her name? He asked urgently. No, she hardly spoke, but she seemed familiar. Mrs. Latham's brows furrowed. I thought maybe she was someone from the charity, but I'm not sure. Familiar. A woman connected somehow. Someone close enough to be recognized. Ethan stepped back, breath unsteady, mind racing. Someone else was involved. Someone with access. Someone with proximity. Someone with something to gain. Thank you, Mrs. Latham, he said tightly. I appreciate it. Please let me know if you see anything else. Anything at all. She nodded softly. Your mother trusted you, Ethan. Don't let him steal what she built. He swallowed the lump in his throat. I won't, I promise. As he walked back to his car, his phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Pearson. Ethan, I found something else. Something you need to see. Please come to the center. It's urgent. His pulse quickened as he got into the car. He drove through Savannah's quiet streets, each turn sharpening his anger. Street lamps cast shadows across the pavement. Every red light felt like an enemy trying to slow him down. When he reached the community center, he found Mrs. Pearson waiting near the entrance, arms folded, face anxious. What's going on? He asked, stepping out of the car. She held up a crumpled envelope. This came yesterday, but I didn't have the courage to open it. Not until now. She handed it to him with trembling fingers. He pulled out the contents, a legal directive, stamped and signed. It was worse than the eviction. The directive stated that the community center's assets, equipment, savings, programs were being reassessed for redistribution, meaning liquidation. And the name authorizing it? Martin Hale. Ethan felt a deep, burning fury rise in him. He's shutting down her entire life's work. Mrs. Pearson nodded, eyes watering. Your mother funded this center for 22 years. Kids learned to read here. Families got groceries here. Elderly folks took classes here. She poured her heart into this place. Not anymore. Not if Martin got his way. Ethan turned the paper around, reading the back. And there, scribbled in faint handwriting he recognized, were the words, "Don't trust him. Don't sign anything." It was his mother's writing. He felt something inside him shatter. Mrs. Pearson's voice trembled. Ethan, are you all right? He blinked back the burn in his eyes. She tried to warn me, he whispered. She knew something was wrong. Suddenly, he remembered her final words. Find the truth. He clenched the paper in his fist. Mrs. Pearson, listen to me. I'm going to stop him. I'm going to take back everything he stole. But I need access to her files, her office, anything she left here. Mrs. Pearson nodded immediately. Come inside. As they walked down the hallway, Ethan could feel every memory of his mother pressing against him. Her laughter echoing from the classrooms, the sound of her heels on the tiles, the warmth of her voice as she helped children spell words they thought they'd never learn. He stopped at her office door. Mrs. Pearson unlocked it and stepped aside. The room smelled like her perfume. Light, soft, familiar. The scent hit him hard. He went straight to her desk, opening drawers, scanning paperwork, flipping through folders. Most of the files were ordinary. Donations, supply orders, letters from volunteers. But then he found a locked drawer. "Do you have the key?" he asked. Mrs. Pearson shook her head. "No, only your mother kept that key." Ethan exhaled. He took a screwdriver from the desk and forced the drawer open. Inside was a small box, black, simple, with his name written on top. He lifted the lid. Inside was a USB drive. He exchanged a look with Mrs. Pearson. "What do you think is on it?" she whispered. He swallowed. The truth. He plugged it into the office computer. A single audio file appeared, titled, "If Something Happens." Ethan clicked play, and his mother's voice filled the room. "Ethan, if you're hearing this, then I'm afraid of Martin. He's been asking me to sign things I don't understand. I think someone else is helping him. Someone close. Someone I didn't expect." Ethan froze. Mrs. Pearson covered her mouth. His mother continued, voice shaking. "I don't know who it is yet, but please, be careful. Trust no one." The audio ended, and Ethan realized he was not just fighting Martin Hale. Someone else was in the shadows. Someone closer than he ever imagined. Ethan stared at the monitor long after the audio stopped playing. His mother's voice lingered in the room like a ghost refusing to leave. Mrs. Pearson touched her chest gently, tears forming. "Ethan." She knew. She knew she was being manipulated. He swallowed hard, jaw tightening. She didn't deserve this. Not from Martin, not from anyone. "No," Mrs. Pearson whispered. "She didn't." Ethan unplugged the USB drive and slipped it into his pocket with trembling fingers. He took one last look around his mother's office, the framed photos, the books she donated, the pens lined up neatly beside her planner. Everything she poured her soul into, and now someone wanted to erase all of it. He exhaled slowly. "I need to get into Martin's files, his records, his office, something." Mrs. Pearson frowned. "Do you think he keeps evidence against himself?" "People like him always keep something," Ethan said. "They trust no one, not even themselves." Just as he stepped toward the door, a loud thump echoed from the hallway. Both he and Mrs. Pearson froze. Another thump followed. Closer this time, like someone kicked something. "Is someone here?" she whispered. Ethan motioned for her to stay behind him. He stepped into the dim hallway, eyes scanning the shadows. The building was supposed to be closed. No programs tonight. No volunteers. No staff. And the lights were set to motion sensors, but they weren't turning on. He took a few steps. Then he noticed something that made his skin tighten. One of the office doors down the hall was slightly open. That door had been closed when they walked in. He approached cautiously. The floor creaked beneath him. He reached for the door and pushed it open slowly. The room was empty, except for a single chair turned over on its side. Ethan's heart pounded. Someone was here. Mrs. Pearson's voice trembled behind him. "We should call the police." "No," he said quickly. "Not yet." He couldn't go to the police without solid proof. If Martin had influence, and he did, he could twist the narrative. Besides, this wasn't a burglary. This felt like someone searching, someone checking, someone watching. He closed the door and stepped back. "Mrs. Pearson, lock everything behind you. Don't stay here alone anymore." She nodded weakly. Ethan, be careful. Whoever is helping Martin, they might be dangerous. Ethan didn't argue. He knew she was right. As he left the building, he felt the weight of eyes on him. Someone was watching. The air felt colder outside, the night thicker, the silence heavier. He looked around before getting into his car. Nothing moved, but something was wrong, deeply wrong. He drove to his hotel, parked, and took the stairs instead of the elevator. He didn't trust the quiet, didn't trust the night, didn't trust anything. When he reached his room, he sat on the edge of the bed, USB still in his hand, replaying his mother's voice in his mind. I think someone else is helping him. Someone close. He rubbed his face, exhausted. Who could it be? Someone close to the family? Someone Margaret knew? Someone Martin trusted? Someone familiar enough that Mrs. Latham recognized the silhouette? He made a mental list. Charity board members, old friends, neighbors, medical staff, assistants, relatives, someone with access. He needed fresh eyes. He needed more information. He needed help. He grabbed his phone and dialed the only person he knew he could trust. Detective Rowan. A tired voice answered. Ethan? It's been years. I need your help, Ethan said. His voice was low, strained. It's serious. How serious? My mother's estate was stolen while she was dying, and she left me a recording saying she feared for her life. The detective let out a long breath. Where are you? Savannah. Stay there. I can be in town by morning. Thank you, Ethan muttered. Retirement is boring anyway, Rowan said, trying to ease the tension. Text me everything you have. When Ethan ended the call, he dropped backward onto the bed. For the first time since his mother died, exhaustion crept over him. He closed his eyes, but he didn't sleep long. A sharp knock jolted him awake. His eyes shot open. He grabbed his phone, 2:13 a.m. No one should be visiting him at this hour. He approached the door quietly, not making a sound. He looked through the peephole. No one was there. His heartbeat quickened. He waited, listened. Silence. He stepped back. Then his phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. Stop digging. Another text followed instantly. Go back to New York. This isn't your fight. Ethan felt ice crawl up his spine. Then a third message came. Your mother made choices. You need to accept them. His breath caught. His mother's words echoed in his mind again. Trust no one. He dialed Detective Rowan immediately. Rowan, someone knows I'm digging, Ethan said the second the detective answered. Did they identify themselves? No. They're using a burner. Send me the messages. I did. Rowan cursed softly. Do not leave your room. I'll be in Savannah in 3 hours. Lock the door. Stay alert. Ethan ended the call, locked the door, and sat in the armchair with his eyes fixed on the entrance. He didn't sleep again. When sunrise finally bled through the curtains, a knock came at the door. Gentle, familiar. It's Rowan, a voice called. Ethan checked the peephole this time. Rowan stood there, older than he remembered, with gray at his temples and the tired eyes of a man who'd seen too many lies. He opened the door. The detective stepped inside, scanning every corner of the room. We've got trouble. That's an understatement, Ethan muttered. Rowan sat down at the table. Show me the document, the recording, everything. Ethan handed him the USB first. Rowan listened to the audio twice, face tightening with each second. Then he reviewed the estate document, the signatures, the dates. Finally, he leaned back and exhaled. This wasn't a mistake. This was planned. I know. Ethan said quietly. And whoever texted you? Rowan added. They're scared. That means you're close to something. Ethan nodded slowly. My mother mentioned an accomplice. Rowan drummed his fingers on the table. Someone close to the family, someone with access. Ethan felt the weight of suspicion press into his chest again. That woman Mrs. Latham saw, he said softly. Whoever she is, she's involved. Rowan's eyes sharpened. Then we find her. Ethan looked out the window, sunlight warming the glass. Whoever she was, she didn't just betray his mother. She was watching him now. Ethan didn't waste a second. He stepped away from the window, running a hand through his hair as the weight of everything pressed harder on his shoulders. She's watching me, he murmured. Someone is watching me, Rowan. Rowan nodded, grabbing his coat. Then we start with the one thing she underestimated. What's that? Ethan asked. You, Rowan said. And the fact that you're not the type to walk away. Ethan didn't respond, but the look in his eyes said enough. He would burn the world down before letting his mother's legacy disappear into the wrong hands. The detective motioned to the door. Come on, we need to retrace everything from the start. Someone slipped up. We find that, we find them. Where do we start? Ethan asked. Your mom's house, Rowan replied. But as they walked to the car, Ethan paused for a moment. Something inside him twisted, a strange mix of fear and rage. Because out of the corner of his eye, he saw a black car parked at the end of the lot. No license plate on the front, windows darkened, engine running. It didn't move. Rowan followed his gaze. Don't stare, he muttered. Get in the car, now. They got into Rowan's sedan. As they pulled out, the black car's headlights flicked on, but didn't immediately follow. It waited. Just long enough to unsettle Ethan. Only then did it pull out of the lot in the opposite direction. Coincidence? Ethan asked. Rowan shook his head. Coincidences don't stare at you with tinted windows. They drove to Margaret's house in silence. Rowan parked 2 blocks away. If someone's been watching this place, I don't want them to see your car. Ethan didn't argue. They walked the rest of the way. When they reached the house, Rowan examined the lock. Hale changed it all right, expensive model, and installed recently. He didn't waste time, Ethan muttered. Rowan pulled a small tool from his pocket. Neither will I. He picked the lock in under 30 seconds. Detective work pays off. Rowan smirked. They stepped inside. The air was thick, stale, lifeless, as if the house was offended by anyone entering without Margaret's permission. Ethan swallowed hard. Every photo on the walls, every old lamp, every faded cushion, it all carried her presence. Where would she hide something important? Rowan asked quietly. Ethan walked toward her study. Here. He opened drawers, sifted through bills, looked under notebooks and folders. Everything seemed ordinary. Too ordinary. Then Rowan noticed something. Hold on. He pulled out a photo frame. It showed a younger Margaret holding Ethan at age 7, both smiling. Look at the back. There was a small strip of tape holding the backing in place, but one corner was loose. Rowan peeled it open. Inside was a folded note. Ethan's breath hitched as he reached for it. His mother's handwriting stared back at him. If anything happens to me, look for the person who visited with Martin. She is not who she claims to be. Below that, 3 initials. E.C. Ethan stared. Those are my initials. Rowan shook his head slowly. No. Look closer. That's cursive E and a cursive C, but the bottom stroke extends. It's not a C, Ethan whispered. It hit him at once. That was a G, not a C. E.G. Does that mean anything to you? Rowan asked. Ethan swallowed sharply. Yes. His mother had a close friend, someone he hadn't seen much recently, someone who used to help with the charity events, someone who disappeared during his mother's final weeks, claiming she was too busy to visit. Elena Grant, a woman his mother trusted deeply, someone who knew their schedules, their routines, their vulnerabilities. Rowan read the initials again. E.G. This woman could be the accomplice. She was close to our family, Ethan whispered. Close enough to be recognized by Mrs. Latham. Close enough to get access to documents. Close enough to know where everything was kept. His stomach twisted as a heavier realization hit him. Rowan. She used to work at the law firm years ago. Rowan's eyes sharpened. Then she's not just helping Martin. She may be the reason he did this in the first place. Before Ethan could respond, a loud crash echoed from the back of the house. They both spun toward the hallway. Rows of picture frames rattled. The sound of hurried footsteps echoed on hardwood floors. Someone was inside the house. Rowan, Ethan whispered. I hear it, the detective muttered, pulling out a small tactical flashlight. Stay behind me. They moved down the hallway slowly, the light cutting through the darkness. Another thump. A drawer slammed shut somewhere deeper inside. Something metal clattered to the floor. Rowan motioned silently. Kitchen. They approached it carefully. A shadow moved. Police! Rowan barked. Show yourself. The shadow darted to the side, fast, agile, practiced. A back door creaked open. Rowan sprinted forward. Ethan followed. They burst out into the backyard, just in time to see a figure in a hoodie jumping over the fence. Hey, Ethan shouted. But the figure disappeared into the night. Rowan cursed. They were searching the house. For what? Ethan didn't answer. He walked slowly back inside, replaying the sound in his head. The kitchen drawer, the metal clatter. He moved to the kitchen and pulled the drawer open. Cutlery, tools, random items. But one spot was empty. A small carving knife. Margaret used it for gardening. Missing. Rowan stepped beside him. They took a blade? No, Ethan whispered. They were holding it, dropped it when they ran. Rowan stared at him. So they were armed. Ethan looked back toward the fence the intruder escaped over. Someone wasn't just watching him anymore. Someone was terrified he would find the truth. Rowan exhaled heavily. Ethan, listen. This is dangerous. More dangerous than I expected. I'm not stopping, Ethan said. Rowan hesitated, then nodded. Then before we go deeper, I need you to do something for your own safety. What? If you're still watching this story and rooting for Ethan to fight back, make sure you tap the like button so more people see this. And drop a comment for him. He's going to need every ounce of strength going forward. Ethan didn't hear the detective's words in the same way the viewers did. He was staring at his mother's note, at those initials, at the fear she carried in her voice. E.G. Elena Grant. He clenched the paper in his fist. Rowan, he whispered, voice cold, trembling with fury. We need to find her. Rowan looked at him, eyes steady. We will. They turned toward the doorway, but neither of them noticed the shadow watching through the back window. A figure with long hair tied tightly behind her head. A woman's silhouette, cold, still, observing. Then she turned and vanished into the night. The night closed around the house like a tightening fist. Ethan didn't see the woman watching from the window, didn't see the way her silhouette lingered before blending into the darkness. But he felt something, a heaviness, a shift in the air, like the world itself was warning him that things had just crossed into far more dangerous territory. Inside, Rowan locked the back door, his jaw tight. She's close. Too close. She's watching us, Ethan. Ethan swallowed hard. Good. Let her watch. Let her see I'm not backing down. Rowan shot him a look. Anger is fine. Recklessness isn't. Reckless, Ethan repeated, stepping closer. She was in my mother's house. She took my mother's knife. She's threatening me, breaking in, sending messages. I'm done being careful. Rowan's eyes hardened. Then let's be smart. That word cut through Ethan's rage. He pulled back slightly, breathing through clenched teeth. Rowan exhaled and motioned toward the living room. We need to sit, plan, think, before she makes her next move. Ethan reluctantly followed him. They sat on the couch his mother once napped on during long afternoons. The silence between them held a weight that felt almost too heavy to carry. Rowan leaned forward, hands clasped. We know 3 things. She's working with Martin, she has access, and she's scared we're getting close. People make mistakes when they're desperate. Ethan looked at the initials again. E.g. Elena Grant, a woman his mother once trusted, someone who worked beside her, someone who disappeared at the exact time his mother needed support, someone who came back only in shadows. She knew this house, Ethan whispered. She moved through it like she belonged here. Rowan nodded. She probably did at one point. Ethan shut his eyes for a moment. A memory flashed. A younger Ethan running through the backyard, tripping over the garden hose, crying because he scraped his knee. Elena was the one who bandaged him while his mother handled a crisis at the center. She smiled at him. She comforted him. She brought him ice cream. The memory burned now. Rowan, she wasn't just close. She was inside this family. That makes her dangerous, Rowan said. People like that know exactly where to strike. Ethan didn't respond. He couldn't. The betrayal sank deeper, cutting harder than he expected. Rowan stood. We need to find a motive. Why would she help Martin? What does she gain? Ethan grabbed his coat. There's only one place she would keep anything, her old condo. Rowan raised a brow. You know where she lives? Lived, Ethan corrected. She sold it a year ago. But I don't believe she left Savannah. Rowan tightened his jaw. Then let's go find out where she went. They left the house quietly and walked the 2 blocks back to Rowan's car. But before they reached it, Ethan suddenly grabbed Rowan's arm. There, across the street near a lamppost, sat a small silver bracelet, half hidden by dirt, half crushed by gravel. Ethan bent down and picked it up. Rowan watched him. What is it? Ethan held it in his palm. His chest tightened. My mom gave this to Elena 10 years ago, for her birthday. A chill cut through Rowan's expression. She left it behind. Ethan shook his head slowly. No, she dropped it when she was running. Rowan's voice dropped. She's sloppy. That means she's scared. Good. Ethan replied coldly. She should be. Rowan studied him for a moment, then motioned toward the car. Let's move. They drove through Savannah's quiet morning streets. The sun hadn't risen yet, and the world looked like it was holding its breath. Rowan parked near the marina. Why here? He asked. Ethan nodded toward a set of old apartments. Elena used to volunteer here. She said the view helped her think. Rowan smirked. I'm guessing she's not thinking about charity anymore. They approached the building. Ethan's breath fogged in the cool air as he buzzed the manager's office. A tired man opened the door. Can I help you? Ethan stepped forward. We're looking for Elena Grant. The man flinched slightly. She stays here sometimes. What's this about? Her involvement in my mother's estate, Ethan said firmly. The man's eyes darted nervously. Look, I don't want trouble, but Elena hasn't been sleeping here. She comes late, leaves early, pays in cash. Rowan narrowed his eyes. Which unit? The man hesitated, then sighed. 2C. Ethan turned instantly. Wait, Rowan said. We play this smart. I am, Ethan replied, already moving. They reached the door of Unit 2C. Rowan pressed an ear to it. Silence. He nodded. Ethan tried the handle. It was locked. Rowan picked the lock faster than at Margaret's house. They entered quietly. The room smelled like perfume and stale coffee. Clothes were thrown on a chair, papers stacked on a table, a large bulletin board pinned with documents. Ethan stepped toward it slowly. Rowan whispered, Ethan, look. The board wasn't random. It was filled with photos of Ethan, his mother, the charity, Martin Hale. Documents with red markings, handwritten notes, dates circled, signatures copied and practiced. Ethan stared in horror. This wasn't chaotic panic. This was planning. Elena wasn't helping Martin. She was orchestrating everything. Rowan grabbed a file from the desk. This is bigger than estate theft. She tracked hospital visits, foundation meetings, even your schedule. Ethan's heartbeat pounded painfully in his ears. Why? Why would she do this to my mother? Rowan rifled through more papers. Then he froze. Ethan, you need to see this. Ethan walked over. Rowan held up a letter, handwritten with jagged strokes. The top line read, Margaret, you ruined my life. Ethan's blood ran cold. Rowan read silently, then looked up with a stunned expression. Elena wasn't just helping Martin. She hated your mother, blamed her for something serious. Ethan felt his legs weaken. What? What did my mother do? Rowan handed him the letter. Ethan read. The more he read, the more his heart cracked. He didn't notice his hands trembling, didn't hear Rowan calling his name, didn't realize tears stung his eyes. Because the letter revealed a truth he never expected, a truth that cut deeper than betrayal. And when he reached the final lines, the room seemed to tilt. The letter ended with, You took everything from me, so I took everything from you. Ethan staggered back. Rowan grabbed his arm. What is it? What did she say? Ethan's voice broke as he whispered. She wasn't just after the estate. She wasn't just helping Martin. He couldn't finish. His throat closed. His heart hammered. Because the last line of the letter was the cliff he never expected to fall from. You took the life I should have had. You took the son I should have raised. The room went silent. Rowan's eyes widened in shock. Ethan stood frozen, breath shallow, staring at the words that shattered everything he knew about his past. Elena Grant wasn't just his mother's betrayer. She believed she was something far worse, someone who should have been in his mother's place. Ethan couldn't breathe. The words on the page blurred, but the meaning stabbed clear and merciless. You took the son I should have raised. Rowan steadied him by the shoulder. Ethan, what does she mean by that? How could she? I don't know, Ethan whispered, voice cracking. I don't know anything anymore. His mind raced. Images of childhood moments, smiles, birthdays, scraped knees, bedtime stories, flashed through his mind, suddenly tainted by doubt. His mother's warmth, her pride, her tenderness. All of it. Was that hers? He whispered. Or did she steal me from someone? Rowan grabbed the letter, scanning it again, eyes narrowing. This doesn't say your mother took you. It says Elena believes she should have raised you. That's different. But why? Ethan breathed. Why would she think that? Rowan rifled through the stack of documents on Elena's desk. We're missing context. There's a reason behind this. She didn't write this letter for fun. This is rage. Years of it. Ethan paced the room, running both hands through his hair. My mother would never steal a child. Never. She loved me. His voice broke again. She adored me. Rowan lifted another file. Then we need to figure out what Elena believed happened. Ethan forced himself to inhale. Go on. Rowan placed a faded envelope on the table. Birth records request forms, he murmured. Elena has copies of your adoption papers. Ethan froze mid-step. I wasn't adopted. Rowan hesitated. Ethan, do you know that for certain? His throat tightened. She never told me I was adopted. She would have told me. Rowan didn't speak. The silence said enough. Ethan grabbed the file with shaking fingers. Inside were documents, some official, some scribbled notes, some photocopies of hospital charts. The name Cole circled repeatedly, Margaret's name underlined, the name Elena Grant scratched out violently. But one paper made Ethan's blood run cold, a copy of a newborn discharge form. Mother, Margaret Cole. Child, Ethan Cole. Father. Then handwritten beside it, lies. Rowan leaned closer. She believed Margaret lied about your father. That much is clear. Ethan's voice hollowed. But that doesn't explain why she thinks she should have raised me. We keep digging, Rowan said. He grabbed a stack of folders, flipping through fast. Medical notes, charity logs, old emails, personal letters. Until finally, he found another envelope tucked beneath magazines. This one was sealed. Rowan tore it open gently. Inside was a single sheet of paper. A letter from Margaret to Elena. The handwriting was unmistakable. Ethan stepped closer, heart hammering. Rowan read aloud. Elena, we need to talk. I cannot allow your behavior around Ethan to continue. You're becoming obsessive. This has gone too far. I won't let you interfere with his life. If you don't stop, I will have no choice but to remove you from the foundation. Ethan staggered back. Rowan whispered, She was obsessed with you. No, Ethan whispered, shaking his head violently. No, that doesn't make sense. She was my mother's friend. Was, Rowan corrected sharply. Past tense. Ethan gripped the side of the desk for stability. So she wanted to, what? Replace my mother? Take her place? Rowan's expression hardened. People like Elena don't want to replace, they want to reclaim. Ethan stared at him, eyes burning. Reclaim what? Rowan hesitated, then said it softly. You. The word hit Ethan harder than any physical blow could. He turned away, fighting to breathe. His chest rose and fell rapidly, hands trembling uncontrollably. My mother never told me anything. Why didn't she tell me? Maybe she was protecting you, Rowan said gently. From what? Ethan choked. From the truth? From her? From all of this? Rowan didn't have an answer. Ethan slammed a fist against the desk, sending papers scattering. She's been watching me since I was a kid. Watching my mother, planning things, manipulating her, for years. He stopped suddenly. His breath caught in his throat. Rowan, he whispered, the voice hollow. She worked at the law firm. She knew Martin before any of this. What if she's the reason he targeted my mother? Rowan's eyes darkened. You mean? She convinced him, Ethan said, almost numb. She fed him information. She gave him access. She planned the timing. She told him Margaret was too sick to fight back. Rowan clenched his jaw. She orchestrated everything. Ethan felt something inside him collapse. My mother wrote that she didn't know who was helping him yet, but she sensed someone close. And she was right, Rowan said grimly. Ethan's hands fell to his sides. His voice turned into a whisper. She was right about everything. Rowan placed a hand on his shoulder. Ethan, we're not done. There's more here. They continued searching the apartment. Rowan opened drawers. Ethan flipped through binders. They were nearing the bottom of a pile when Ethan found something else, something that made his heart stop. a small black journal. His mother's journal. Rowan froze. How the hell did Elena get that? Ethan opened it with shaking fingers. The first entry was harmless. The second was not. I don't trust Elena anymore. She watches Ethan like he belongs to her. She insists she knows his needs better than I do. This isn't healthy. I'm scared. Ethan felt his knees weaken. The next entry. I confronted her today. Told her she crossed a line. She threatened me. Told me she'd ruin everything if I didn't step aside. Rowan whispered, "Your mother feared her." Ethan flipped further. Another entry. Elena came again. She tried to take Ethan from school early, said I was overstressing him. I reported her behavior. She retaliated by creating rumors at the foundation. Another entry. I feel unsafe. If anything ever happens to me, I need Ethan to know the truth. Ethan's throat tightened so painfully, he almost dropped the book. He turned to the final entry. A short, haunting sentence. Elena said, "You stole him from me. One day I will take something from you." Ethan closed the journal, shaking so hard he could barely breathe. Rowan whispered, "This is your motive. This is everything." Ethan didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. His mother wasn't just betrayed. She was threatened, targeted, hunted, and the person behind it wasn't Martin Hale alone. Ethan looked around the apartment at every photo, every document, every scribbled note, and something inside him snapped into place. Elena hated her, he whispered. Not because of money, not because of jealousy. Rowan watched him carefully. Then why? Ethan turned, eyes icy with a truth he didn't know he held. She wanted me, he said quietly. She always did. And when she couldn't have me, she made it her life's mission to destroy the woman who did. Rowan exhaled a slow, heavy breath. But before either man could speak again, a floorboard creaked behind them. Both spun instantly. A woman's voice cut through the silence, soft, cold, and eerily calm. "You finally found me." The voice was soft, but it filled the room, cutting through the shock like a blade. Ethan's body went cold as he turned. Elena Grant stood in the doorway, hair pulled back, face pale but composed, the same woman from the photos and the file board, the woman who had haunted Margaret's life for years. In her hand glinted something metallic, a small folding knife. For a moment the room held its breath. The journal slipped from Ethan's hands and thudded to the floor. Rowan's stance tightened the way an old cop's does when a fight is coming. Steady, controlled, ready. "Don't move," he said. "Drop it, Elena." She smiled as if they were sharing a private joke. "You think you can tell me what to do? You think you can read my life like a book and pin it to your wall and make me the villain?" Her voice had a softness that made it worse than rage. "You found my notes. You read my pain. You read my truth. You think that gives you the right to judge me?" Ethan's mouth was dry. "Why did you do it?" he demanded. "Why my mother?" Elena's eyes flicked to him, and something like pity crossed her face. "You don't see, do you? Margaret had what I deserved. She had a life, a family, admiration, a son who turned every head he walked past." She took another step into the apartment, knife held casually in one hand. "I spent years watching her live the life I was promised, watching her take the love I wanted. And when I told her it hurt, she told me to step aside, told me I was being childish, told me to get help." "You stalked her, Elena," Rowan said. "You harassed her. You broke into her home. You conspired with Hale. You sent threats. You ruined people's lives. Elena, you planted a person in my life," Ethan said, surprising himself with the harshness that rose through his voice. "You watched him. You watched us. You wanted me. You made a life out of watching me. You lied to him. You hurt her. Elena's laugh was small and hollow. I didn't plant anyone, Ethan. I found a way to make sense of my life. Martin saw the same thing I did. He saw a chance. He promised me one thing: justice. He told me your mother would pay for what she did. He told me it would be done cleanly. I helped him because I wanted him to take away the life she was enjoying. I wanted him to make things right. Rowan stepped forward, closing the small distance. You conspired with a lawyer to take property from a dying woman. You forged signatures. You were inside that house. You're coming with me. Elena's expression darkened. You think arrest will fix anything? She pointed the blade at Rowan for a heartbeat, not out of threat, but to make them flinch. You don't understand. Justice isn't a badge. It's balance. She had my life, Rowan. She had my chances. She took the man I loved, the one I believed was mine. She had the courage to do what I didn't. Her voice steadied as if she were rehearsing lines she had said to herself for years. So, I took everything she loved. Ethan felt fury build until it made his hands tremble. You're lying. You didn't love me. You wanted to control what you couldn't have. Elena's eyes narrowed. And what about you, Ethan? Did you ever think anyone else deserved your love? Did you ever ask where you came from? She stepped closer to him, knife still visible. You want to throw stones at me when your own past has shadows. Rowan moved his weight, the way a cop knows to do when making an arrest. Drop the knife, Elena. There's nowhere to go. Elena's face flickered, and for a second something like true fear crossed it. Then she moved fast, too fast for Ethan to follow as she lunged past Rowan, darting toward the kitchen door. She hopped to the windowsill and hauled herself toward the backyard. Stop, Rowan barked, but Ethan was already past him, instinct driving him forward. He reached out and got a hand on Elena's sleeve as she scrambled over the fence. But her body was lithe, trained by years of secret movement. She twisted free and vanished down the alley like a ghost. Rowan swore and sprinted after her. Ethan's legs burned as he chased, breath ragged. The dawn was pale, a thin light smeared over Savannah's roofs. He saw her shadow slip between houses, heard boots on gravel, then silence. Rowan returned after a minute, chest heaving. She's gone, he panted, but she left something behind. Elena hadn't gotten far enough to take the knife with her. It lay on the grass where she dropped it during the jump. On the handle, a tiny scrap of fabric clung. Thorny, a piece of a thread that looked like it could only have come from something expensive, possibly a scarf or the sleeve of a tailored coat. Rowan picked it up with gloved fingers and held it out. This is enough to track her. She's sloppy when she's cornered. Ethan stared at the scrap and then at the path Elena had taken. She said Martin promised her justice. He said quietly, if she's that involved, Martin's fingerprints are all over this. Rowan's face hardened. We need to move on, Hale. We need to build a case so tight he can't wiggle out. And we need to find Elena before she decides to come back with more than a knife. Ethan swallowed, anger now focused into purpose. He realized the earlier fear and messages were part of a bigger map. Elena believed she had been wronged, and Martin had given her the means to act. But there were more questions. Where had Martin been in this chain? Had he acted alone or with counsel webs of his own? And why had Elena thought she could replace Margaret in any part of Ethan's life? The letter had revealed an obsession, and the journal had shown her stalking. But Martin's legal capacity made everything easier, cleaner, more plausible. Rowan checked his phone. I'm calling in a favor. We're going to need backup, and we're going to need to search his files properly. Tonight, I'll get a warrant for Hale's office and safe deposit boxes. We'll need a forensics team on this. Ethan nodded, thinking of the folder he'd seen at the law office in the hospital, the one that had first set his blood on fire. He thought of the forged signature, of the eviction notice, of the power of attorney that had turned his mother's life into a commodity. We start with his office, he said. We start with everything. No shortcuts. Rowan's phone buzzed. He glanced and then looked up. I've got someone coming in. A colleague from the state bar called. She's angry, helpful. She'll be here in the afternoon with the forms. We'll move fast. Ethan felt a fragile thread of relief. It was small but present. Elena had fled. They had evidence. They had momentum. But the relief was immediate and incomplete. Elena's words echoed. That Margaret had taken something from her. Taken the son she believed belonged to her. The idea hovered in Ethan's mind like a poisoned seed. He would have to know the truth about his origins. But not now. Not until they'd secured the proof to throw at Martin. He looked down at the knife Elena had dropped. In the blade's reflection, for a fraction of a second, he saw his own face. Tired, older, in a way that grief makes men age. Eyes raw but alive with a determination that hadn't been there before. Find everything, he told Rowan, and keep her close. If Elena runs, she runs into more trouble. If she stays, she'll talk. Rowan put the scrap of fabric into an evidence bag. We do this clean, Ethan. We do it right. And when we're done, Hale will be exposed. Ethan wanted to believe it with every fiber of his being. He wanted to imagine Martin in cuffs, Elena behind bars, his mother's name cleared, the charity restored. He wanted the taste of justice so badly it hurt. But as they walked back into the house, one final self-doubt gnawed at him, a small, insidious thought. The presence of Elena revealed hate and obsession, but it did not explain everything. If Elena had an axe to grind, who had sharpened it with legal authority? Who had given her the tools? Ethan's phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. You will regret this, it read. He looked at Rowan, who met his gaze with nothing but grim focus. We keep going, Rowan said. We finish this. Ethan stared at the message on his phone. You will regret this. And for a moment, everything in him went still. The anger, the confusion, the grief. It all sharpened into something cold, focused. He looked up at Rowan, who was already watching him with a detective's instinctive worry. It's Martin, Ethan said. It has to be. Rowan nodded. Or Elena using his phone. Either way, it means they're panicking. Good, Ethan muttered. Let them. The next hours moved fast. Rowan coordinated with the State Bar investigator, a stern woman named Kara Hunt, whose voice alone could cut through steel. She listened to the recording, read the forged documents, examined the notes from Elena's apartment, and her face grew paler with every passing minute. This is deeper than I expected, she said. Hale's not just stealing assets. He's abusing power of attorney, coercing a dying woman, and possibly conspiring with someone mentally unstable. Possibly, Ethan snapped. She broke into my mother's house. She stalked me my entire life. She tried to take me from school when I was a kid, and she... Kara raised a hand gently. I believe you. Trust me, I do, but we need to do this legally. We need evidence that Martin was complicit in the manipulation. And from what I see... She tapped the forged signature with a pen. We have plenty, Rowan added. And if we move now, we can catch him before he destroys anything. Kara nodded. I already called for the warrant. We go in today. The three of them walked into Martin Hale's law firm just before noon. The receptionist looked up, startled. Can I help? Don't bother, Kara said, flashing her badge. We have a warrant. Step aside. The woman backed away immediately, eyes wide. Rowan pushed open the door to Martin's office without knocking. Martin Hale looked up sharply from behind his desk, eyes narrowing. He was older than Ethan remembered, with silver hair and a rigid posture built from decades of controlling rooms. But when he saw Ethan, his face flickered with something like annoyance, then quickly recovered into a practiced lawyer's mask. "Ethan," he said smoothly, "I've been meaning to speak with you. There's been a misunderstanding." Rowan slammed a folder onto the desk, so hard Martin flinched. "The misunderstanding is thinking you're getting out of this." Kara stepped forward, her voice clipped. "Martin Hale, you are under formal investigation for fraud, exploitation of an incapacitated adult, forgery, and conspiracy." Martin's jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous. I was acting under legal authority." Kara opened the folder. "This is your legal authority?" She held up the forged signature. "This signature you guided or forced Margaret Cole to write while she was sedated?" She slapped another paper down. "This eviction order you issued while she was dying?" Another slap. "This transfer you signed without her informed consent?" Martin's face reddened. "You have no proof she wasn't competent?" "We have her voice," Ethan said quietly. Martin froze. Ethan pulled the USB drive from his pocket and placed it gently on the desk. She recorded everything. Her fear, her suspicion, her warning. Rowan leaned forward. "We also have an accomplice who's already slipped up. Elena Grant. You remember her, don't you?" For the first time, Martin's composure cracked. His breathing changed, shallow and uneven. Kara continued. "Her apartment is filled with documents that connect you to her activities. Notes, plans, everything she believed you promised her. You enabled her. You used her. And together, you destroyed a dying woman's peace." Martin's voice trembled. I only... "No," Ethan snapped, stepping forward. "You don't get to talk. Not now. You lied to her. You manipulated her. You stole from her. You erased everything she built. You took advantage of a woman who trusted you for almost 30 years. Martin recoiled at Ethan's tone. The room felt smaller, darker. "Ethan," Martin whispered, "you have to understand." "I understand perfectly," Ethan said coldly. "You preyed on her vulnerability, and you thought no one would question a respected lawyer." Rowan pulled out handcuffs. "Martin Hale, you're under arrest." Martin backed up instinctively, but there was nowhere to go. Kara lifted her camera to record the arrest as Rowan stepped forward. "You can't do this," Martin sputtered. "You don't know what she was capable of." "Save it," Rowan said, snapping the cuffs around his wrists. "You're done." Ethan watched silently as Martin was led out of the office. It didn't bring joy. It didn't erase the pain. But it brought something close to justice. Something close to peace. Kara turned to Ethan. "We'll locate Elena. She won't get far. And when she's found, everything she's done will come to light." Ethan nodded slowly. "Thank you." "Your mother deserved dignity," Kara said. "We'll make sure she gets it." Later that evening, Ethan stood in front of his mother's grave. The sun was low, casting a golden haze across the cemetery. He knelt down, placing a small bouquet of white lilies on the headstone, her favorite. "Mom," he whispered, voice breaking just slightly. "I found the truth. I did what you asked. And I promise you, they'll never hurt anyone again." A warm breeze brushed across his face. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to breathe deeply. Rowan approached quietly. "Hale's been taken into custody. He's already calling for lawyers. They won't help him." "Good," Ethan said softly. "What about Elena?" "We'll find her," Rowan assured him. But she can't undo justice anymore. Her hold is gone. Ethan stared at the sky, a quiet peace settling over him. She wanted to destroy my mother, but she didn't. She couldn't. He touched the headstone gently. Because I'm still here. Rowan nodded, and she raised one hell of a son. They walked back slowly toward the car. Ethan looked over his shoulder once more before leaving, not with grief, but with gratitude for the woman who fought for him until her last breath. And justice, finally, had answered her. If you felt connected to Ethan's fight, if this story held your heart even for a moment, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this deserve a voice, and your support helps keep them alive. And tell me in the comments, what part of this journey moved you the most?